We are Gathering of the Geeks, podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out episode 10, the one about delays. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
In a hurry tonight.
I was going to say, I think the daylight saving times is messing us both up in a bunch of different ways today.
Not happy today.
So we're back at it with another Sunday. I just want to say hi to everybody in the chats already. Zeddy, Ian, Juan, Cookie, Eric, and Grabs. Thanks so much for hopping on with us, guys. On another Sunday. I
missed that one.
Yeah, you can't really tell. Don't have that super high def camera, but
it's there.
It's there. You just had to keep up on it. Daylight saving times always messes me up, and I didn't know it was daylight savings until sometime yesterday afternoon. And I woke up today and I still didn't realize until we had to take my son to he's going to a friend's house for a visit, and I looked down at my watch, or looked at the clock on my in my car, and it hadn't changed yet. I'm like, oh my God, we're an hour and a half late, or an hour and a half early. And then she reminded me, oh no, it's okay, because that's the wrong time.
I was, on Twitter at 2 a.m. as I usually am. And I saw, it's 3 o'clock now. Where did that hour go? And then that's right. I was like, oh shit. So that's kind of how my day, the cycle of my day has been. Oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Ian in the chat saying it's obviously Monday for him. He's in Japan, and he explains the time change. I don't know what time it is there, Ian. Sometime tomorrow morning. But thanks so much for checking us out. Always good to have you along. So Chris, what'd you get up to this week? We had the big Batman week last week where we were kind of still coming down, and this one feels like the first one where we can kind of get back to a little bit more of our daily routine, reading comics, playing video games, watching movies, watching TV. What'd you get up to?
It's funny. Yeah, this was the week without Batman, unfortunately. But there was still a lot of Batman in it because we were, on different shows and stuff. But I still didn't get up to too much because I was kind of busy when I wasn't, when I did have downtime, I didn't really feel like watching stuff. So what I did watch was Turning Red, that new Pixar movie from Disney. That was fun. We talked about that this morning on Lauren's show.
Nice.
But that was fun. I finally learned what a red panda is, thanks to Ian and the chat. I was convinced it was a large panda that was red. It's not.
Oh.
It's like a fox that looks.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's also not a beaver. It's not a Japanese beaver. So, I was learning this morning, but Turning Red was fun. I also watched Licorice Pizza, which was. So we talked about Oscars and all the shows recently, and how just watch what you want, and enjoy what you like, all that stuff. But I wanted to give Licorice Pizza a chance because it is one of those Oscar movies, but also it kind of looked like something I would be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like Dazed and Confused and Almost Famous smashed together,
right,
to make one mega 70s film. What do you want to call it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was not. I didn't hate it, but it's just not something that I want to watch again. It's not a bad movie, though. Just not something I want to watch again.
Are you a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson's other films?
This is the first
Boogie
one
Nights, that kind of thing. Oh, okay, wow, that's big.
Well, I've seen pieces of Boogie Nights before.
Yeah,
and I thought it was okay, but when it was released, I was a little bit young for the subject matter, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, I didn't care. Plus, I don't like Mark Wahlberg.
Sure, understandable. I'm
not a fan. Mm-hmm. It's bad when a CGI teddy bear upstages you. We're talking about Ted, by the way.
I get it.
But yeah, but Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm not really familiar with his filmography other than Boogie Nights, which I've seen pieces of. I do want to watch There Will Be Blood.
You love seeing Paul Dano getting beaten up and kicked down upon.
I mean, I just like seeing it, anybody getting beat down in general. But no, that one specifically, just because I've always heard a lot about it, and I like Western stuff anyway, so it feels like something I would enjoy. But yeah, Licorice Pizza did not leave the best impression, which is fine. It's got people that like it, and it's not a bad film. There's good stuff in it. Just ultimately not for me.
So I haven't seen Licorice Pizza, but let's talk about Turning Red. I watched that yesterday.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you watched it.
I watched it with my son and my wife. She caught the just about the last half of the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was the mysticism behind it, the history behind it. Like you were talking about with Ian, it's not actually a panda, it's a fox, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I like seeing it in Toronto. I like seeing the Sky Dome and all the Canadiana in it, that kind of thing. But the story, the coming of age type of story, learning to break free of your parents' ideology and what they think you should be. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was all good, but I thought it was just funny, like especially the last, like where they're in the. I don't know if we can talk spoilers or not. It's really just a Pixar movie, not the biggest
Optimus Prime
spoilers.
saves the day.
Yeah, of course he does. But the concert with the boy band and
Mm-hmm.
all the girls just freaking out and their eyes they're crying. I thought that
It's
was the
funny.
funniest thing. Yeah.
No, I thought it was funny, and especially because it's set in the year 2002.
Which is very. That's a choice. A very
Yeah,
very different. Yeah.
but I like that because it made it. It's trying to say it made it more believable and relatable because it's 2002. So this stuff seemed like the Tamagotchi pet deal.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
boy band, like, oh, okay, this was part of that time. That's cool.
Right.
But I thought it was very funny too. A lot of the humor kind of went over my kid's head because some of it was leaning more toward adults, young adult, I think.
Sure. Well, yeah, the relationship stuff. I think the young girl, she's 13 or 12 or something.
Well, yeah, 13. I think.
So it's like, getting into the age of dating, and obviously there's the stuff about, falling in love with boys who are, like the Backstreet Boys type of things. So,
Or maybe the same.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my son's 6. He thought it was a lot of the, the visuals were funny. And obviously just the multi pandas and the big action set piece that ended the movie. Yeah. I was really surprised about that, when all the pandas kind of come together.
Panda Squad.
The Panda Squad.
Grab said Turning Red is not a show for 2 toddler boys. Now I'm kind of curious about that because I think a lot of the Disney movies, there were princesses and things. So I think they're kind of more geared toward girls in general or marketed for them. But I wonder if this was like a story with a boy in the red panda type thing, if that would have hit the same way. Because I feel like this was more of a coming of age story for a female.
For sure.
So I don't know if it would have hit the same way, but
yeah, and my son loved it. He's 6 years old. He thought it was a lot of fun. He's liked all the Pixar movies, like even Encanto, which deals a lot with a female character as well. Obviously there's probably more male characters in Encanto than there is in Turning Red. The only one that I can think about is the girl's father and
the bully.
Yeah, the bully guy. So there's not that much, which was also an interesting thing. And what did I watch? Oh, I watched Scream today too. And that movie ends with 4 women at the end of it. And I was thinking about, wow, you don't see that very often either. 4 women standing side by side surviving a massacre. And then I was thinking about Turning Red. It's not very often you see like the 4 friends. They're standing side by side, surviving a massacre, a type of deal, surviving the panda-esque, deal, and all the issues, and still
Panda
having a
massacre.
friendship. Yeah, panda massacre. That's right. And they're still friends by the end of it, all that kind of stuff. So I appreciated that thing. I never thought about it as a boy girl. You can't, if you're, maybe Grabs can clarify, but my son doesn't think about that kind of thing about whether or not there's a boy on screen or whether it's a girl story or a boy story.
I think we as adults maybe, like, I don't really care, but I know a lot of like friends of mine, they do kind of see it that way, which isn't a bad thing. It's just how you see it.
Sure.
But I don't think kids do that. I think kids see, oh, it's an animated film, I'm in.
Sure. There was a lot of talk about Turning Red. Obviously, it was released on Disney Plus rather than going to theatrical. You have any insights on that? And any issues with the being able to watch it on Disney Plus? I love that I could watch it on Disney Plus the day.
Yeah, I preferred that actually, because it's easier. Like if it's a movie for me, like an adult movie or whatever, yeah, theater's great. But when it's something at home, it's just easier when it's a streaming movie, especially because, as you know, even as adults we do this, but a kid will generally want to watch a movie right after it's over. Just replay.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I could do that with the Batman, I would have.
Yeah, exactly.
So I completely understand the mentality. But for kids, yeah, I prefer the streaming. I think it's a better thing because I love
Hmm.
streaming. And this was originally going to be theatrical.
Hmm.
And I don't know what exactly changed their mind because I don't think Disney was scared of Batman. I don't think they should have been.
Yeah, different age, different,
Yeah, completely
yeah.
different thing here. They probably would have made money with this, but I'm glad they decided to put on streaming just because.
Yeah, just because I agree. Selfishly, I'm glad that they did for sure.
Hmm.
And another thing that we talked about this week that you were doing was playing a big video game that came out recently is WWE 2K22 or
Yes.
2K22, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
What's your experience like playing the new wrestling game that's out?
Well, it's funny because you and I were talking about this. I actually don't watch the product at all.
Right.
It's very rare that I'll watch it, but as a kid, I was into it. I think every kid goes through a phase where you're like a huge wrestling fan or something.
Hmm.
I know I did, you did, most of our friends have.
Yep.
But the only thing I still enjoy are the games, just because it's like just mindless fun. I could put it on and just kind of zone out and do that. So that's been pretty fun. It has taken, like, I said I didn't have a lot of downtime where I wanted to watch something because that involves me being invested and paying attention. Whereas this, I just put it on and I was able to throw a chair or two and I was happy for an hour or whatever. And that worked for me. So it's been fun. I can't really complain. Gaming is a hobby of mine that I don't do as often, just
Hmm.
because I don't have the time. Or when I do have the time, I'd rather read something or watch something. It's kind of become my third thing that I'll do at home, as far as like my own hobbies. It's just not high on my list anymore, but I still like it.
I was just going to say I agree with you 100%. Between watching something, whether it be a movie or TV, reading comics, and then video game being the third thing, video game is on the third, on the bottom. And I don't really know why. Watching TV all night or playing a video game all night, it takes up the same amount of time. But I wonder if it's just the mental strain.
Hmm.
You don't have to think too much when you're watching TV or a movie, but there's more thought when you're playing a video game.
Well, it depends what
Was
you're
that
playing
was that?
too.
Sure, sure, sure.
Like, there's less investment in a sports game. Like even the basketball games, I enjoy those too because again, I just zone out and I'm throwing a ball around. It's not like them I have to pay attention to and, oh, well, this character is this character or they said that. I just,
Yeah, so the WWE game, obviously, they took a year off
Mhm.
after how horrendous 2K2020 was, and they released that kind of over the top wrestling game last year. Do you
Yeah, I
remember
don't
that
remember what it
one?
was. Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. It was
I
free
think,
though.
yeah, yeah. You think you got it on PlayStation Plus a
Hmm.
few months ago. Obviously, the, Vince McMahon, the owner of WWE, doesn't like bad press. So I think, taking that year off, do you think that was beneficial to get this game right? Did they need to take the time off? And
I
was it
think
beneficial that they did?
I think so because I don't play every year, but the one that I had last was pretty fun, and then they said the one that they skipped was horrendous.
Hmm.
So I think taking time to give these that's with any game, give the developers time to do what they need to do because you were waiting for Cyberpunk and then you got it and it wasn't everything you wanted because it didn't have the development time. It was rushed out. So this is a big case of that. Just let the developers do what they need to do to ensure that you're getting a quality product or at least something that works. Bare minimum, just make it work. And this definitely works. I haven't really encountered too many bugs. And the ones I have been just kind of simple stuff.
Yeah, I was looking on the PlayStation Store today. I haven't bought a game in a very long time, like a brand new game. I get review copies sometimes from the GWW, which I write reviews
Hmm.
for, and that's been kind of taking up my video game space. But I was looking at buying a video game, and I often forget how expensive games are.
But they are now.
But the new WWE one seems like a game you can pick up and play anytime, right? If you just
Pretty
want to
much.
play a match, like it's a lot like a good sporting game, much like MLB The Show or whatever. If you just wanted to
Yeah.
play a game,
Yeah, and you
um,
could do like a full match in less than 5 minutes if you wanted.
hmm yeah, and you were playing that UFC game. It was free on PlayStation Plus
Yeah.
last month, and how
Last
was
month.
that? Was that
That
good?
was
That
fun
was
too.
number 4, I think.
Yeah, a UFC
Yeah.
4. That's not the case. I don't know anybody in there. I kind of just pick people based on the rating, and hey,
Yeah.
that sounds good. You have a full name. I like it. We're
Yeah.
in. So I played that. That's fun too. And that's another one of those mindless, just play it, you know.
hmm
Although I do prefer story games. I do. It just there hasn't
hmm
really been anything in that realm that I've been wanting.
Yeah, I was when I was thinking that the same when I was on the PlayStation Store. I was looking at stuff like the Elden Ring. It's not really my
Yeah, that
type of
looks fun.
game. Is that your type of game, like
No,
Skyrim, Dark Souls, that kind of thing? No.
no, but it looks fun. I want to try this
Yeah.
one.
it
I feel like
looks
since I beat Sifu, I feel like I'm prepared for those kind of games now.
you can undertake any mission now.
Yeah, I think so.
So I want to talk a little bit more about Scream. I know you've seen it.
Hmm.
I watched it just today. I thought it was great.
I thought you saw it back when it was released.
I wanted to see it, and I wanted to see it in theater, but I never got a chance to see it.
Okay, okay.
So I watched it today. I thought it was great. Probably my second favorite of the series, right behind obviously number one. I thought the kills were really good. I thought the
Hmm.
unexpected kills were really good. I thought the twist at the end was really good, and I obviously liked the climax with, our four heroes, finishing off the killers at the end. I think it sets it up good for future movies too. I hope they keep going now. I
Oh, do
hope it's
you?
yeah. I hope they keep going.
Okay.
I hope there's more with Sam and Tara, and the twins. I can't remember their names.
I don't know either.
But Jamie Kennedy's niece and nephew from
Yes.
the original movies, which I thought that was another thing I thought was really cool, and I like how they tied that into the movie, how it tied it back to the events of the first one, and it got me kept thinking. I kept thinking that Stu was going to pop up again.
I was waiting for that too. Like I thought Stu was alive or something.
Yeah,
So that was a. I enjoyed the fact that he did not pop up. I think it added more to the stuff with Billy.
well, yeah, that was the other thing that surprised me so much was that first when you see Sam's driving, or is she in the car, or she's in the hospital, I think. Um, I think she's in the hospital where she sees Billy Loomis in the mirror.
Yeah.
That was such a surprise to me. The CGI was wonky as heck. His nose looked funny and his jaw looked funny, but I knew who it was. But I love that aspect of it.
I thought
I
that was
like
really
them.
Skeet Ulrich. Was that not
I
really
don't.
him?
I didn't think so, unless.
I
Oh,
thought it
maybe
was
it
him.
was. Oh,
I mean,
really?
he has aged quite a bit.
Hmm.
'Cause
Maybe that's why the CGI looks so funky.
yeah, no, he's just older. I think when in the original he's about 22-ish,
Hmm.
the actor, or somewhere in that range. So now he'd be closer to 50, I believe. I can't
Hmm.
count right now, but something like that.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. We see him a bit at the start, and then at the climax, you see him actually helping.
Hmm.
It's a weird thing to be cheering and feeling good about something that Billy Loomis did.
Well,
I thought that was interesting.
to be fair, Billy Loomis is probably my favorite on-screen serial killer. Just saying.
Nice.
If we had favorite serial killers, that is,
Sure,
he
we
would
can.
be at the top of my list because he was awesome.
Yeah, so I love
Yeah.
that, and that's why I thought Stu was going to show up. And then
Mhm.
I thought that the two Jack Quaid and I don't know who the other actress is. Who spoilers, folks? The movie's a couple months old now, but the killers, Jack Quaid and this girl, I thought they were going to be the kids of Stu somehow, and I thought there was going to be three killers instead of just two. Because I thought Jack Quaid kind of he looks a little bit like Stu. He's got the long hair, orange, or the long face. He's got orange hair. So I was expecting that to happen, and then just to find out that they were just kind of weird lovers.
So when you see red-haired people, you automatically think killing?
No, yes,
That's
exactly
what I got out of
think.
that.
Yeah,
He
that's
has a
exactly
long
what I
face
think.
and red hair, so he must be a killer.
Well, that's nothing scarier than that, right?
I guess. Chucky.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Just after seeing Billy Loomis, I thought, oh wow, they're just going to bring it really around full circle.
Mhm.
But I'm okay that they didn't.
Well, they kind of.
It was in Stu's house, so I like
Right.
that. Yeah.
When did you realize it was a house?
Probably when I think it was Sam. She's in the middle of it, and she turns around and looks.
Oh, okay.
I think that was it. Yeah.
For me, it was when Jack Quaid's character went down for beer, and you see that shot. Like, hey,
Right.
wait a minute, I know that house.
Wasn't Rose McGowan just down there?
Yeah, she was. Poor Rose. or
Yeah,
Rose.
yeah,
I
crawling
think
through
her
a doggy
character's name
door.
was Tatum, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
crawling through a doggy door.
Smart lady.
Okay, so yeah, so when you were watching the movie, did you guess who was the killer at
No,
any
I'm
point?
horrible with things like that.
Okay,
Absolutely terrible.
so me and my wife are watching it 45 minutes in, and I said, okay, who do you think the killer is? And she says Abby, the girl, and I said Jack Wade's character. Yeah, that's right. When I see people doing a YouTube show and all they wear is muscle shirts, I think I get weird vibes about that too, Grabs. Um, so uh, so I guessed that it was Jack Quaid at 45 minutes in, and my wife guessed that it was the Abby character at 45 minutes in too. So we were both right, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Those are some good guesses, actually. I kind
Yeah,
of thought it was going to be Sydney.
that would have been interesting. I wonder, like, if they do another one. I wonder if they try and bring that storyline into it,
Well,
that she's a killer.
I assume that because of what I thought I saw was a spoiler. I thought it was a spoiler, but it actually wasn't, because it was showing all the killers from the previous movies, and then Sydney was one of the was on that same like infographic, and I didn't take the time to pay attention to what the caption was. I just saw that and got rid of it really quick. I was like, damn it. But yeah, no, it clearly was nothing.
Yeah, so I really like Scream. Glad that I finally got to see it, and I'm kind of pissed that I didn't get to see it in theaters. Also, I wish that I had, because it feels like it would have been a cool movie to see around other people. You saw it in theater, right?
No, I thought at home.
Oh,
I would have been up for a digital rental.
I wonder if there would have been a theater reaction to those kind of movies anymore.
I gotta be honest. I hate horror movies with audiences.
Okay.
I don't like it. They kind of ruin it for me. And as much as I'm a theater guy, I would rather watch a horror movie at home.
I'm glad I watched it during the daytime, especially. I get pretty scared at horror movies watching them. Yeah, and that's kind of the appeal a little bit. Being scared after watching something. But then in the daytime, you can look out the window, or you can go downstairs and not be frightened that there'll be a killer around the corner. So,
I mean,
daytime horror movies for me.
But they're still around during the day.
Yeah, but I can see them.
Yeah.
I can see them coming. I don't
if they have red hair, I'm guessing you could.
Yeah, quit it with the head hair. That was a bad analogy, and you got me in trouble with Grabs by saying that.
It's okay. Okay, so here's a question. So if horror movies, you don't like watch them at night, how do you feel about horror comics? Because we both read Little Monsters this week.
Yeah, so horror comics and reading horror is a lot different. And, I always think about, my mother read Game of Thrones, and then she tried to watch the TV show, and she couldn't watch it because seeing something is a lot different than reading something.
Sure.
You visualize it in different ways. So that doesn't mean that it's not scary. I also akin it to Silver Coin, if you've read that series.
Not yet.
So it's quite violent in times, and doesn't hide the fact that it tries to be scary. Like Little Monsters is a little bit different. It's really not scary, hardly at all. Yet I agree. So it depends on the type of horror, I would say. But I can feel how scary something can be. Like Gideon Falls is another one. There are certain moments in that series where the Laughing Man is the villain in that one, and him just being creepy is more scary. I don't know. It's tough seeing gore, reading about gore. I know comics obviously have more of a visual nature to it, but still a cartoony type of visual horror. It's a tough thing to kind of disassociate from each other. Reading something and then watching something.
That's fair. Zeddy brings up Midnight Mass, and Midnight Mass is it's a great example because it eases you into the horror aspects, and it shows you really the horror of these humans first. The humans some of them are horrible. Like, what was her name? Started with a B, not Becky.
Oh, the main evil person.
Like the zealot. What was her name?
Yeah, I can't remember now.
Well, whatever. We'll call her Becky for right now. She was terrifying, and then once the actual supernatural stuff started happening, it was a whole other thing. It was crazy. But I like in the case of Little Monsters, I don't think that it's It's scary, but I think that's coming. I also think the idea of child vampires is just very creepy, and I absolutely adore it. I'm always in for
Sure,
evil.
I like that.
I'm always in for evil children, and so that works for me. And I'm just waiting to see which one of them is the darkest one because we don't really know yet. They're all kind of just, hey, let's play dodgeball or whatever the hell they're doing. But still, good book, and I like the horror that has in it already. The little like glimpses of it and what's to come. I'm going to be pretty invested in that book. I can already tell.
Yeah, so I like how you mentioned the Midnight Mass first of all, and it's something that relates back to Scream as well. When the very first scene when the killer asked Tara, "What's your favorite scary movie?" and she says, "The Babadook." It's something so, and they get on this long conversation about smart horror movies versus slasher horror movies. Midnight Mass is that same kind of way where there's different kinds of scary. There's obviously the vampire who's eating people and sucking their blood. But then there's a scene, I think it's in the second last episode, where they're in the church and they're all drinking the poison or whatever.
The Kool-Aid.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid, and the doors are locked, and the parents of these kids are like drinking this stuff, and they're making the kids drink it. And the feeling you get, like the claustrophobic feeling of them being locked in this church with crazy religious people, which is also another thing that really scares me. I don't know if you've seen The Mist.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the scene where they're in the grocery store with I can't remember her name. Oh, Marissa Gay Harden, where she's the over the top religious nut, and she's standing on, looks like she's standing on a soapbox with her crew around her, and she's just saying her craziness. And that was the most scary part of the movie for me, not the aliens or the bug thing or the the winged bat things that are inside the grocery store, but it's the people. People are scary. And that's what I was scared about in Midnight Mass, and that's what I was scared about in The Mist. And people are scary more than violence or aliens or creatures per se. For me, anyways.
I don't scare easily, but usually what sticks out to me more in a horror film are like paranormal stuff, because I think that's more not I want to say likely, but you're going to see something like that versus a kaiju or Chucky, something like that.
Yeah,
Chucky is probably impossible. Just saying, unless there's not to offend anybody who believed in Chucky, but I'm just saying I don't think it's going to happen. So, but yeah, I like the supernatural type stuff, or just the more realistic things when it comes to action, or even I love slashers. So, Scream, Halloween, those are my things.
Yeah, realistic, and that's a great way to put it. And that's what I was getting at, and you said it better than I did with the religious factor. You can believe that certain humans believe something so much that they can change other people to do something better or worse in the relationship. And it's the same thing with like Midnight Mass and like the characters in The Mist. You can believe people will do things, and sometimes believing that a doll with a little knife that came from a store, inhabited by the soul or whatever of a killer, that stuff doesn't really do it for me. But another thing that for horror for me that does it is imagery. And I think about stuff like in Halloween, just the guy in a mask standing, being creepy Michael Myers. That kind of stuff scares me too. Imagery, certain shot selection, the way a movie is shot or TV show is shot. And same with the comic book, this way a panel or pages laid out, how the horror is brought to life, I should say.
You talk about the shots and stuff like that, and what comes to mind is, have you ever watched Salem's Lot?
No.
Okay, Salem's Lot it's an old Stephen King movie, of course, and it's about a town with vampires. But there's this scene where it's a vampire kid. He goes to his best friend's window and it like starts scratching and stuff. It is okay. Well, for most people, it's terrifying. I think it's a beautiful shot just because it's cool. But I've heard so many people talk about that specific shot over the years, and it really lives up to the hype. But you got to see the scene to understand it. You've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
You remember the part where David Arquette goes to Luke Perry's window?
Yeah, and he's standing outside the window floating.
That is it's a play on the Salem's Lot thing.
Oh, nice.
That's where they got the idea.
Yeah, I read it. I think I've read a little bit of Salem's Lot. I couldn't. I think it was probably too long, and I'm not the biggest fan of early Stephen King stuff. What I know of more of Salem's Lot is, do you ever see the show? I can't remember now. It's an anthology show. The first one, Castle Rock. Have you seen that?
No, I wanted to, and I just never got around to it.
Yeah. So the second season pulls stories from Salem's Lot, which is also
I
which is
didn't know
really
that.
interesting to me. That's another horror based show, or maybe it's the first season. I can't remember. Oh, the first season pulls from Misery, and the second season pulls from Castle Rock and Shawshank Redemption. The entire world of Stephen King novels, which is really good. So if you're into horror stuff, if you're into Stephen King stuff, and I would definitely recommend watching those. I think it wasn't renewed after season 2. I'm not the biggest fan of that early Stephen King's writings. I like a lot of his newer books. I think I talked about that a little while ago, that I was listening to the audiobook for their Mr. Mercedes series. Which I really, really like. So more horror stuff. I do like horror. It might be my favorite genre just because of how wide it can be. It can be that goofy, little red-haired doll, killing people, or it can be the more psychoanalyst, Babadook, Hereditary, that kind of thing. And same with comic books too. There's lots of different ways you can go.
Yeah, it's a very broad genre, I think is what I would put it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
A lot of good stuff.
I'm not sure if I didn't really. Actually, I only read one other series this week, aside from some new stuff. I think I read Little Monsters, like you. Really liked it. But one that I read this week was a series called The Comeback. It's an Image series from, 10 years ago. It's written by Ed Brisson and with art from Matt Walsh, who created the Silver Coin series, and colored by Jordi Belair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's about a company that you can hire to go back in time, and they can save someone in your life up to 66 days. So if we're in a car accident, I'm in a car accident with my wife and she dies, I can hire these people to go back in time and stop that from happening.
Okay.
And in that, there's a lot of that time travel jargon and weirdness that they can get into things that confuses a lot of people, which this book very much has. But it's more into what this company is doing with these people after they're saving their lives. They're taking millions and millions of dollars from these people who they think are then saving them, but then they go into the future and then they kill them in the future. So then what they did in the past doesn't really matter. It's a really interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting series. It was only 5 issues. I wish it was more. Yeah, that's right, Ian. I wish it was more, but it was kind of cool for me to see early Jordi Belair stuff and early Michael Walsh stuff as well, which I'm such a big fan of Silver Coin right now. So it was interesting. And also, it's 10 years ago. Image Comics is on their 30th anniversary this year, 2022. Yeah, so if you get a book, it'll have on their insignia, it'll say 30 years. And right now, up in the top corner, this one says 20 years, which is kind of an interesting thing.
That is cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a 30-year though. I didn't pay attention to that Little Monsters book.
Yeah, 30 years of Image Comics, which is a very cool thing. Another thing that I realized it's an imprint of Image. It's called the Shadow Line imprint, and there's so many Image books that I've never even heard of. Every week, we always talk about this, how Marvel releases like 10 or 15 books a week.
They do.
Image Comics used to do that all the time and still do, but they have so many titles like this that people have never even heard of, that are kind of hidden gems, which are kind of cool finds. I like to find, and it's not the best book, but it's cool to see some early comeuppings from Belair, Walsh, and even Ed Brisson, who's kind of been around the game for a while. So that's what I got into reading this week, aside from that newer stuff like Little Monsters.
It's always fun to go back. I love old comics, so it's always fun to go back and see what else there is. Especially when we have an onslaught of stuff today. We really do, but sometimes there's something that you may have enjoyed that you missed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I usually shop online with my comic book store, so it's kind of cool. They just filling up back
Oh,
issues after back issues.
did your Moon Knight come in?
It came in. I just have to ship it, and I have
Oh,
to
okay.
fill. I'm gonna fill up my hold box a little bit more before I ship it, just because shipping charges have gone up so much here recently. So I'm gonna make sure that the box is full. I added some more stuff to it today, and I kind of just add some more stuff to it every week. They do. They upload to the website on Tuesdays and Fridays, so I I get into a little bit of trouble with my wallet every once in a while, but I can still manage it. But yes, I've told you this, or you got me on to reading Moon Knight. I think you probably told me, or I looked into it, that Lemire wrote Moon Knight, and that
I
gave me
think you found it on your own.
it was an instant want to read it. So I think I read the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 issues of it, and I was kind of like, I have no idea what's going on. Who is this weird Moon Knight character? Obviously, but no, I want to get back into it. I love Lemire, but I want to get more into the Moon Knight character as we get closer and closer to the Moon Knight TV show.
We're almost there.
So close. So that was another thing. Did you see that special featurette thing for Moon Knight that came out?
Yeah, I did. But I think after that, I'm probably good. I don't want to see any more footage until the series.
So about 5 seconds into it, there's the scene of Mark Spector or whoever it is. I have no idea yet. He's facing the camera, and then he turns, and the suit kind of just appears on him.
Yeah.
So we saw that in the first trailer, I think it was, or one
but
of the
not
early.
Like this.
Yeah. So, do you have any idea what's going on here with this?
Not a clue, and I love
coming
it.
out of nowhere.
Not a clue, and I really like that they're doing something that surprises even me. And not to say I'm the ultimate Moon Knight fan, because I'm not. There's stuff I haven't read, stuff I don't know, but I do know I've never seen that before. Right. And the way it's handled is really cool. I think the way it just kind of comes over his head, and not even the hood, just the bandages.
Yeah.
Really neat. I like that a lot. And then it happens again when he's like jumping from a rooftop. I don't know what he's jumping from, but he turns into the Mr. Knight persona,
right?
Which is cool too.
And I think you thought when we first saw it in that first trailer, you thought it was him thinking that the suit was being put on him. He's just like imagining it that it was happening, and you still think that's what it is?
I still think so, because it tracks with other stuff from the source material. But if it's not, and he just has this mystical suit, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Moon Knight is a character I think I'm open to more interpretation for, as opposed to like some like Batman, who if he gets a nano suit, I can tell you right now, I won't like it.
That would be weird, wouldn't it? If he got like an Iron Man suit.
It wouldn't be Batman, because everything with him, it's more of I'm just a guy doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for Moon Knight, he walks in that supernatural realm anyway, so I'm okay with him taking some liberties. And also, it needs to appeal to more people than just me. That's the main thing here. I want everybody to be able to watch it and enjoy it, not just me. So do what you got to do, make it cool.
Well, yeah, and you're looking at the suit too. It doesn't look like an easy one just to slip into. Maybe that's a way of them, initiating how he gets into the suit quickly, and doesn't have a bat cave to go change.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But his suit is, in the comics, it's pretty simple usually.
Yeah, this one has much more layers to it, right?
It's much more intricate, yeah, and it does kind of like the Alex Ross Mutant X version. I think is what it was, or Marvel X. I'm sorry. It does sort of look like that, but it's still its own thing.
Yeah, so I don't even know if we'll probably get another trailer. We might. The show is
17 days.
Thank you, Chris. 17 days away. Yeah, I'm pretty excited just to watch it. I'm really excited to see what your thoughts are about it. I can't remember. Oh, we were talking about this. I can't remember who we were talking to this about there. But are you worried about it? Are you scared in any way that you're not going to like it?
No, I've liked the stuff we've seen of it. I mean, if I don't like it, I guess it'd be bad, but it's fine if I don't like it. As long as somebody likes it, me, I'm always cool with it. But I would prefer to like it, of course.
Right on.
Ian says, but if he's imagining, how does he jump across buildings? Well, like in the comics, when he imagines stuff, he's mostly doing them. So he probably would jump across the buildings somehow. I always bring this up, but the comic where he thought Wolverine and Captain America were with him, he was actually fighting as them. Like he had the Wolverine gauntlet on his hand, he had a fake shield, he was doing all of it. But in his head, of course, he was with the guys. Spider-Man was with him too. So yeah, he could probably just be jumping himself.
And once on said, do you think they'll get the whole different personalities right? What I mean there isn't many cases of actual person having their that's the thing that they really mentioned in that featurette too, is how they're taking the mental health aspect to it very seriously, which was kind of interesting and nice to hear too.
Yeah, and there was a USA Today article about it the other day that also they said that they're only showing you the personalities they can before the show starts.
All right, guys. So that's what we read, what we watched, we got into a lot this week, and is bad as it was that we didn't get to see more Batman and relive watching the Batman again. It was kind of cool to get into some of our regular stuff, into what we read or what we watched. So thanks for helping us out. It looks like a lot of people. I like that Grab said that he's read the Lemire Moon Knight run. I'm excited to get into it some more myself. All right. So up on our Twitter account this week, we had a pretty cool poll, and it kind of came out of the fact, I think, when Chris was creating this poll, that we are kind of doing a little bit of a Saga book club with some friends of ours. And we were talking about on that little show, we were talking about whether or not Saga would be good for a TV or movie adaptation. So what we wanted to know this week was, what indie comic title would you want to see adapted to TV or film soon? We had three options. We had Saga, Philadelphia, and Radiant Black. The winner was Saga, but right there behind it was Other. We had some really cool write-ins. So I'm going to read a couple of those. Well, the first one here is Cookie saying she'd like to see The Nice House on the Lake from James Tynan.
That's good.
Yeah, I think so. Another one, Grabs, thinks he'd like to see Stillwater, an Image series from Chip Zdarsky.
I thought it was Lemire. That's cool.
No, yeah, it's Zdarsky. And Lauren went with The Kill Lock. Hadn't heard of that one. Juan went with Philadelphia. Has a story ongoing for HBO Max TV adaptation, so that would be interesting. What else we got here? Wes Greer says that the Philadelphia is already in process of being turned into a TV show.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So he went with Saga. Jeff Howell on Twitter went with Barbaric. Bill B says Scout's Honor, which is a very cool new series from Dan Pepos. Wallace Sage says The Invisibles. What else we got on here? John's Variety Hour said he'd love to see Lazarus as an HBO Max series. Steve, all the X-Men comics on Twitter, says he'd like to see Gideon Falls as a limited series. The Comic Room wants to see East of West, Jonathan Hickman series. Adam on Twitter, the real Adam Janis 66 says Ice Cream Man, which would be a really wild and crazy show.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Ricky on the Smoky Monkey King on Twitter says The Keep. Man Thing 2099, always helping us out on our Twitter poll, says The Maniac of New York, which is a newer series that I see a lot. I forget who it's from. Dark Horse, maybe.
Looks like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And Absolute Artwork says Berserker, and I think that is one, that Keanu Reeves series, comic series. I think they are turning that one into a TV show or a movie, and I think that was kind of the deal when they set it up to begin with, because I think it was right after the first issue came out that the show was announced. Yeah. Chris, what do you think about this one? A lot of comic book adaptations in the world, whether it be on Disney or HBO Max or on the CW or anything. Hulu, exactly. Amazon, so there's no shortage of comic book adaptations. But what would you like to see?
Well, I would actually wrote in Other. Although Saga, I'm definitely like, whenever Saga becomes a thing, I'm in. And by the way, that splash page was not fun. I blame you and Grabs for that.
I'm happy that you saw it.
Oh, I bet you are. No, what's funny is I remember you posting that. I think you tweeted or something, and I just glanced. I was like, "What is that?" And I went on about my day. But then when I was reading Saga, it just hits so differently, so differently. But anyway, I'm in for Saga, but I would have actually chose The Many Deaths of Layla Starr as like a mini series.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure.
That, or it was kind of like that. I was thinking also the Me You Love in the Dark because I was big on that too.
Hmm. Yeah, well, it has those Beetlejuice vibes that we all like. I think that one would play. Yeah, that's right. I think that one would play on TV for sure.
Yeah, I think
Do you
both
think
of
it'll work as a young adult type of show, or do you think
no.
they'd go the other way?
Yeah, I want them to go the other way. But, that's one where I think the shock value really mattered. Because you read the title, "The Me You Love in the Dark," and you don't exactly take it literally
Yep.
until you get to that. I think it was the third issue when things take a strange turn. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, what is this?"
Hmm.
And then you kind of feel creepy about enjoying it, but that's a different story. Um, yeah, so I'm good with either one of those, but I think the Me You Love in the Dark has a lot of potential just
Hmm.
because people love horror, like we were talking earlier. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr might be a harder sell because it's more philosophical, more about life, and we talked about this before. It found a way to make death death taught death was taught about life, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. It would be interesting how they made that one work. Obviously she dies at the end of every single issue.
That's a great idea.
Um, so how would you make it work? As you make it. I think the series is 5 issues long. Just do like a limited series, like five
Yeah,
episodes, and just like that. I think that would
yeah.
be really interesting.
I followed the exact way the comic does it. Each issue is a different timeline.
Mhm.
I think Carlos has something here when he says Saga's an Invincible style animated series. That would be so much fun,
I
and
think that's
they can get
the only way to do it. It would be animated.
they can get away with everything if they do that,
Hmm.
including that splash page.
Well, if you think about, like, if they did this live action, the budget would be astronomical of all the things that you see.
Yeah,
Like,
but
aside from like prosthetic and makeup work, like the CGI would be pretty strong, I think. So doing it animated, you'd have more. You'd be able to cut down on budget wise and be able to do all that stuff you wanted to do.
and I think people would be more forgiving if it's animated.
Right.
Like nobody's gonna split hairs about this doesn't look the way it did in the book if it's animated. Whereas
Hmm.
people lose their shit over anything in a live adaptation. Anything.
Hmm. Yeah, and we're going on 56 issues right now. Like, I don't even know how you would. There's so much story to tell, and a lot of it's important to from issue one to the issues that are going on now. I don't know how you would tell that story other than, like, Invincible's got the same thing, like over 100 issues of that
Mhm.
series. Like, how do you boil it down to tell a correct story? It'd be
Well,
interesting to see.
well, I think that's part of the magic of having it on TV, whether it's animated or live action. You can take your time and do these things correctly.
Hmm.
You can pick any order you want and go with it that.
Yeah, for sure. I would have chosen other as well, and I would have chosen American Vampire from
Oh,
Scott Snyder. Another cool vampire story. I think it relates well to a character study type of story. I think it's got one of the strongest comic book characters in Skinner Sweet in the last little while. I think it's got a really cool art style. I also like the aesthetic of the story. It takes
mhm.
place in a couple different times. Back to all the way back to the 1800s, and then all the way up until present day as well. But it's one of my favorite series. It's one of my favorite Vertigo series. I think, yeah, like I said, I love Skinner Sweet as a character. It might be top 5 favorite comic book characters for me. So that's what I'd go with an American Vampire. And same thing. None of these I would pick for in a film. I'd
No,
only pick only TV shows.
I think I'm
Um,
starting to prefer TV series. And yes,
mhm.
American Vampire is the Western vampires story.
Yeah. So yeah, the first issue or the first arc deals with a 50-50, half dealt in the Old West, and then more dealt up into the middle of the 19th or the 20th century. yeah, it ranges all the way. It cast a pretty wide net, and it's a really cool vampire story. One of Scott Snyder's best.
Yeah,
As
I
far as I'm concerned.
remember reading that and thinking, "Oh, the Batman guy could do horror too. This is awesome."
Yeah, I was really excited about it because Stephen King wrote in the first arc. He wrote the Western story.
Yeah.
In this, and Scott Snyder dealt with the more the present day story in this one. Yeah, so I that's where I would go. And again, TV show would be the only way to do it.
When are we doing a horror book club? We got to finish Saga first.
Yeah, one step at a time, my man.
Well, but you know, with the way that I think we all want to tear through Saga, maybe we'll get to there sooner than we think. Because like that,
yeah,
those issues just kind of you burned through them. They're really good. But
yeah, well, I think it was Grabs who said it that they do read, they just read so well one after another.
They do.
And I said, and I think he was the one who said it as well. Like they all matter too. There's no there is some fluff issues when you get. I think it's later on, maybe towards volume 6 or 7 and 8, but it still all matters. All the decisions and all the the effects and the consequences that happens to the characters. It all matters. So yeah, I agree with you about we may not be able to space out our book club to once a month, just because everyone wants to read it so much.
Y'all hear Jumanji drum? Yeah, I don't know what that sound is. It pops up now and then though. I'm just waiting for like the Robin Williams to come somewhere, hopefully.
All right, guys, so that's our poll. We will have another one up this week. Make sure you hit us up on our Twitter account at G the Geeks on Twitter. Science Sunday is turning into Science Monday.
Sometimes.
Any day, all days are good for science.
I mean, is there a bad day for science?
There's no bad days for science.
I don't think so. As long as they're not spicy.
So we're going to end our show on our main topic, and our main topic of the week is something that kind of hit the news DC-wise, a little topical, and that's the delays of Aquaman 2 from December of this year to March of 2023. The Flash from November of 2022 all the way until June of 2023, and Black Adam going from July to October, and Shazam going from 2023 to taking over the Aquaman 2 December spot. So there's a lot of news and a lot of hubbub about DC and its shifting release schedule. It's mismanagement. Chris, where do you lie on this? I don't want to call it a debate, but the conversation. Do you think it's just business, or do you think it's more something is wrong with these movies?
No, I think it is business, and I'm bummed. Yes, it is a bummer. I was looking forward to seeing some of these films sooner rather than later. But at the end of the day, and this is like we were talking about games earlier, these studios need to be able to feel comfortable with what they're releasing. And if these directors especially are saying, hey, we need more time, we got to finish these FX shots, let them do what they got to do. There's no reason to rush these films. Because I think it's worse to rush the film and have it come out unfinished, with the CGI or whatever, and people are going to pick it apart, than if it just sucks on its own merit. If it just sucks because it sucks, fine. Don't make it any worse by the CGI was hard to look at too.
I agree with you with that. Don't put out a movie until it's ready to go. But I think the big thing with and I think a lot of the hubbub on online is DC is at it again. WB doesn't know what they're doing, which that may be the case 100%, but I don't think everything has to do with one another. I think like what you said, it's a business thing, and I think if you really think about it, all that's really happening is we're getting one less movie in 2022. The Flash is moving till next year.
Yeah.
Aquaman is moving to next year, but Shazam is taking its place. So all that's really happening is the Flash is moving, for what we know. Obviously, we thought that Batgirl was going to be released this year, but there wasn't really an official date on that.
Right. But I think that, yes, we are losing the one movie technically, but it's what that one movie is.
Agreed.
Because I think Aquaman, I don't want to say nobody cares, because we care, but it didn't seem to be as big of a deal as The Flash. That's the one everybody's been waiting on. has been development hell since how long?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm still shocked this movie has even been filmed at this point.
Hmm.
You know, and with what's behind it, the talent and everything. So I think that's the one that's really hurting people. That movie, not so much
Well,
Aquaman, but that.
yeah, and I think it's because of how long it's delayed for. Like the movie, where it's March now, the movie doesn't come out for another 7 months,
Mhm.
and but then it's delayed another 7 months, or December, March, April, May, June, July, another 5 months. So it's delayed a long time, all the way until June. I think that's the biggest thing. If the Flash was delayed from November until April, maybe that's not the biggest deal.
Right.
But because they're delaying it all the way until June, I think that's the strangest thing, and delaying it so far out. Like I think it was Grabs who said it. Don't release. They shouldn't put it. I think that they. He says I think they just shouldn't put out dates when they know when something is coming out and put out a trailer. That's an interesting thing, you know. And that's the way the general audience thinks. They don't know when movies come out or when they're supposed to come out. They know when a movie's out because they see it in the movie theaters and it's talked about on the radio or talked about in the news. Like they don't know that the Flash is coming out in November, and then they won't know that it's delayed until June. It's very strange that you delay it this far away from the movie coming out in November, and then delaying it all the way until June. In saying all that, what we think we know about these movies, the Flash has to come out last because of what we think is happening with this DCEU reset or
Mhm.
whatever. So it's an interesting thing. Like, how much did DC Warner Brothers know that this was going to happen before it happened? Like, I don't think these things. I like to think they're not made on a whim, but then why did DC release that sizzle reel saying all their movies are coming
Yeah,
out in 2022? So I
that's
get
such
the
a weird
I
thing.
get the confusion and the frustration in a lot of people's thoughts and minds about it. And we said we started it off. It's a business. If it's a business, why would you release a sizzle reel saying these movies are coming out in 2022? You know, I understand that DC and WB, you have no idea what you're doing. I like to think these people know what they're doing because they're paid a lot of money to do so, and
Mhm.
they're in the positions that they are. And I'm a guy who goes and sees the movie. What do I know about something more than somebody who actually makes the movies? So it's a really hard thing to wrap my head around. But if I think about it as, I'm just the guy who watches it. I'll watch a movie when it comes into theaters, whenever
Right.
that may be.
That's kind of how I look at it too. But Zeddy has a question here about the
Mhm.
Flash. It has more to do with them in cameos for reshoots, possibly to Cavill back. Maybe I don't know. I think that that's possible. I also think someone else said it, but maybe they are looking at the success of the Batman and kind of thinking, hey, we might want to fine tune these other ones. That's possible too. I mean, we can only go on with what we hear, you know.
Yeah.
And for this, I read something that said the Flash has X amount of special effects shots that need to be finished, and
Hmm.
for this reason or that reason, there was no way they were going to be finished on time. So it is what it is. But I wouldn't rule out more reshoots and stuff because we know that's common with films, especially these films. And another thing to consider is most of these films were filmed under heavy COVID restrictions. So there's stuff they just could not do. And with that in mind, if Cavill comes back in it, I'm not going to complain, you know. Or if Batfleck survives it, I mean, even if he doesn't have to do anything in the future, sure. If he dies, fine again. I think there's room to, let them do their thing, and we'll see.
I think that you mentioned COVID. I think that's the biggest thing. We mentioned on our audio show we did with the V39 about the Batman, how the budget had gone up to $200 million, and
Mhm.
before it was reported that it was closer to 100 million.
Something like that.
And I suspected that it went up so much because of COVID protocols, because of delays. And I think you're 100% right. When you film these movies in COVID, what is the one thing they're probably trying to do? Let's get this movie filmed with people as safe as possible and get this over with. Let's get these people back to what they're doing, and let's get and see what we have. Let's film what we can, film it safely, and move on. And then
Right.
maybe we'll go back later on and fix it, because that's what really reshoots really are. They're about, okay, what do we need to tweak here? What do we need to add to make this better? They test the studios test movies and then they add things. We found that out with the Batman. They tested it. Reeves tested it with those multiple scenes of Barry Keoghan, and he took one of them out because it didn't test as good. They took Barry Keoghan out of the movie entirely, and it didn't test as well, so they added him back in. I think that's what this is. It's all about trying to find out what is going to be best for the movies as they come out. Because I think it was Ian who said they're giving the Batman time to breathe. With DC now on top, maybe DC's worried about focusing on the wrong DC. I don't think that's what it is. I think they're agreed they're giving Batman time to breathe. But I think DC sees, okay, we have the best and most popular movie in theaters right now. It's all over the box office. It's people are going to see it every week, and that's all they're talking about. We need to make sure that the next one that comes out is just like that. The next one that comes out is DC Super Pets, which is kind of interesting. But Black Adam, I'm crazy excited. The Black Adam has to be the best it can be. Shazam's been done for a long time now. Zeddy, our boy, has been saying this for a while that Shazam has been ready, move it up, and put it in 2022 now. It's interesting also, Black Adam and Shazam 2 are right back to back. I don't think that's a mistake, and I don't think it's a coincidence.
It's great synergy.
Synergy is a beautiful word. You love saying that. I think
do.
that's
it's 100% what
word.
It is.
Yeah.
I got it from that movie. Good. What was it called? I think it's called Good Company or something.
So I'm telling myself that the company, DC, Warner Brothers, are doing exactly what they think is best for how these movies are going to release. Carlos says it. Everybody moves dates. We saw it with Morbius moving all over the place. We're going to see it eventually with Black Panther 2. The movie is still filming, and it's supposed to come out in November. That ain't going to happen.
They even moved Wonka. That's across the. They moved Wonka, and there was another tentpole film for them that they moved because these they need time to get things right, and I respect that. I appreciate them taking the time instead of putting out a half-ass product.
I agree, and I totally understand, 100% get how it's a bummer. It says right there, delays are a bummer. It sucks. I want to see these movies right now. I want to see Keaton in The Flash. I want to see Keaton in Batgirl. I want to see Aquaman 2. I want to see it all. But if it's not ready, if DC doesn't think it's best, then I'm okay to wait and go see the Batman again.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to watching the Batman until the end of the year and probably into next year.
Exactly.
I'm waiting until I could find a way to inject that into my veins.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it in April when it comes out. I think it was Carlos or Ian. They were saying that they watched No Way Home illegally.
Ian, yeah.
I can't wait. I was looking on my somewhere where I could watch it, and I'm looking forward to watch it again very soon, so my son can watch it again. We watched it in the theater.
You guys know the Sony snipers are watching us, right?
Yeah, they're watching us. I just want to see that final scene, or not the final scene, but the three Spider-Man swinging. I just want to feel the feels of that final scene again.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That is a spoiler, sir.
That's right.
I don't condone that.
Yeah, right.
Look at that now.
Legally on the 15th?
Yeah, so this is kind of, I thought this was kind of interesting. Originally it was slated, I think, for the 22nd. But then since it leaked, we're not saying where it is or how, that's up to you. But Sony went ahead and said, okay, you guys want it so bad, get it on the 15th. I thought that was an interesting thing because you don't really see reactionary things like that happen. But also, I think in the case of No Way Home, like they made so much money.
Yeah.
Why not?
I agree with you. Why not make a little bit more money with rental sales or
I think a lot more money,
whatever.
I think our guy Nico's buying 3 copies, most likely.
Have they released any? I think you tweeted out the Batman Steelbook cover. Have they released any artwork for the Spider-Man ones yet?
Yeah, they actually released those. I want to say back in January.
Oh yeah,
and you were able to pre-order them and everything. So that's why I'm hoping the Batman pre-orders are coming soon too, because I really want that Steelbook I tweeted out.
Yeah, that's a good looking one.
It's got Batman on the front, Catwoman on the back. Pretty cool.
100%. So like the little ticker says there on the bottom, guys, delays are a bummer. But I think what everyone should think or could be thinking is just take the movie whenever it comes and enjoy it when it does, because there's still a lot of things to watch,
including the Batman,
for sure, 100%, and the Batman and Moon Knight in 17 days.
17 days, correct. And counting.
And counting. All right, guys. So, that's going to wrap it up for our show. I think that's everything. Is anything you want to get into, Chris, before we head on out of here, and hit us up with some plugs, man?
I just want to say, if you guys want to check out more, we've been pretty busy this week. We have our audio only episode. It's a full spoiler review of the Batman. I was actually invited to the Nerd Room Paint the Town Red stream on Friday night. You can find that over at the Nerd Room's YouTube channel. That was a blast. It's not a review of the movie. It's more just a discussion about different aspects, and we each asked a question to everybody. Batman related, of course. And we got to discuss that. That was a great time. And I was also on our good friend Lauren's show, The Neighborhood, today. That was fun. I was on there with Zeddy. So a lot of cool stuff. But you guys can find me at thatchris70 on Twitter. But as always, please follow G of the Geeks instead. I mean, I'm not that fun anyway, I think. Maybe.
Chris, you are a monkey buckets full of fun, man.
A what?
Monkey buckets full of fun.
I haven't heard that, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Monkey buckets. You got it, buddy. Yeah, Chris, he was all over the place this week, so make sure you're hitting up Lauren's YouTube channel and the Nerd Room on YouTube as well.
And just follow them in general because they're awesome, by the way. Both.
I agree with you. Very good people hooking up. Carlos, Tim, Troy, great guys for sure. And of course, Zeddy. Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you to Eric, Zeddy, Grabs, Juan, Ian, Cookie hopped in for a minute. Grabs, thanks so much for watching, guys. And I'd like to formally apologize to all the redheads who do or do not watch our show. I've shamed you, and I apologize.
You also need to apologize to people that wear tank tops.
Yeah, that's right. Tank top redheads, especially. Oh man, I'm so sorry for those people. I apologize wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you forgive this bald asshole. In saying all that, like Chris said, just make sure you follow us on Twitter at G of the Geeks, where we have polls and lots of good, fun stuff. In saying all that, for Chris, I'm Emmet. We gather on Sundays.